This is BarCode, a cocktail-powered podcast that dives deep into the personalities, criminals, and heroes that have come to define security across the globe. Please join our host, Chris Glandon, for another wild foray into the incredible world of humans and how they intertwine with today's modern technology. We hope you enjoy today's episode.
Three, two, one.
Activate.
Welcome to BarCode. I'm your host, Chris Glandon, and I am pumped for this one. We have a banger for you. Today, I got two industry icons slash trailblazers slash community cultivators slash friends of mine. We have Michael Farnum, president and co-founder of CyberSecCon, CEO of CyberSec Community, and one of the most impactful community builders that I know. We also have Phillip Wylie, former pro wrestler turned pen tester, best-selling author, global keynote speaker, founder of the Pwn School Project and DC 940, host of both the Phillip Wylie Show and Simply Offensive. Guys, it's an honor to have you on. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Hell yeah, dude. Love the intro. That was fun.
So let's just get into
friends
it.
of Chris first next time, though. That's more important than any of that other shit.
Got it. Noted. So I may have mentioned the word community in that intro. We often hear that buzzword now more days than we used to. But you both have truly just been building community in this space for a very, very long time. And for those listening and wondering what that means, like, how would you both define what real community is within the cybersecurity space? And, how do you know when you've built community versus just growing an audience? Because I believe that there is a difference there.
Interesting question. Community, I mean, it's the reason I called it CyberSec Community, and it's cyber without an E because we're cool like that, by the way. And I literally have a t-shirt on in the back of it. It says that. This was my guerrilla marketing campaign at RSA, was rocking around with this shirt.
They didn't confiscate it?
No, they left us alone. We even passed out some stickers, but they left us alone. It wasn't too guerrilla-y, I guess. It wasn't like, walking around with a backpack with a big monitor on the back of it and stuff like that, like some people do.
I've seen that.
Yeah. This is one of those, how family friendly is this podcast, Chris? I don't remember. I
would say 0 family
Okay.
friendly.
I'm not going to necessarily curse, but I'm going to bring up a point.
Okay.
You remember, I think it was in the 90s when they were trying to do all the regulation of porn and bad material and all that stuff. And they were like, well, how do you know if it's porn? It's like, well, you know it when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Community in my mind, a lot of times is just like that. Like and Phil and I have had this conversation a million times because, we're partnering and I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but we purposely partner with each other because we know what like real friendship and real community is, because we know it when we see it and when we feel it. That may be too nebulous in some ways, but I just think like things like we do at our conference, like at CyberSecCon, with previously HOU.SEC.CON, we're not charging people $2,700 to get in there. Look, if you want to go to a conference that they charge you $2,700, I'm a capitalist. I'm completely fine with that. We know that that's a barrier to entry for a lot of people who can't get their employer to pay for it and that kind of stuff. So doing things like that, giving stuff away for free instead of gating everything, giving access to people, partnering with other events and other media brands such as yourself that want to, put this stuff out there for free and let people see it. Again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form against making money. There's stuff that we have that's gated content that'll be that way in the future. But our default mode is, hey, come here, learn how to do this thing, get an education, and doing that in any way we can without making price a barrier to entry. And then even as we grow the conference, our flagship conference, we're expecting 4,500 people this year. People are like, man, it's going to lose that feel. But every year we grow, people come back and go, you didn't lose the feel. It was like, it was still legit. Like it was still a lot of fun. It's like Sam and I, my co-founder, were at CyberSecCon, we're talking about it today. We're like, it's like a big high school reunion. It's just a good time. You get that at some of the conferences, but you have to go like to a certain bar that everybody goes to get it. With ours, it just feels like people are just showing up and still having a good time. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I see it.
That makes sense. I mean, I've witnessed it. I feel like your community versus an audience is very, I would say, inclusive. Like I showed up at HUSEC.CON for the first time. I felt welcomed. I felt involved versus just having a ticket into the conference, which alone was really good. But I think you have that element of feeling included, which was a differentiator for me. Philip, how about you? How do you feel community differs from just an audience or attendees at a conference?
Yeah, it makes a big difference because people that are not everyone, but a lot of people that are seeking an audience only want it for the audience and what's in it for them. Community is kind of mutual. So even though we're hosting these things, you get stuff out of it. So one of the things I kind of learned when I kind of pivoted more into community and helping others in 2018, when I started teaching and started Pwn School, was, you already hear people say it's better to give than receive. Just the benefits and blessings you get from doing things are amazing. And so it's just over the years seeing, people that have read my book or were members of my meetups, seeing them go on and progress and how they've done. And it's kind of contagious. You share that mindset, then they replicate it and other people go on and do it too. And one of the things I'd say about HUSEC.CON, what CyberSecCon used to be, was the fact that it was the first non-B-Sides conference that selected my Pentester Blueprint talk. And this is more of a beginner level talk, which not all these conferences were into the career talk. So I thought that was awesome, and spoke there in 2019 and been speaking there since. I really love it. I've seen the way it's grown in the sense of community. And one of the things I like too, and one of the things is a good indicator of whether the conference is really giving to the community or just taking, is the fact is how well the hacker community accepts HusekCon. Because, the folks from their hacker community are there involved. Most hackers don't want to be involved with something that's too commercial, or they're just out for themselves, but there's a lot of support from the community. And I think that's a good sign.
Definitely. You mentioned HusekCon slash CyberHackCon. So again, I was at my very first HusekCon, and took over the podcast room, and
Which we were
thoroughly
happy
enjoyed
about.
that. I actually have the HusekCon podcast room sign over my left shoulder if you can't see it. So thank you for letting me steal that. But for those that don't know, HusekCon was a local con, ran in Houston. I believe it ran for 15 years or so. But that happened to be the last one, sort of. It transitioned into CyberHackCon. So just curious to hear that. Or I'm sorry,
CyberSecCon, actually. Yeah.
CyberSecCon. That's the second time I said that.
That's all right.
It's transitioned into CyberSecCon. So tell us about the decision there to, I guess, rebrand it.
Yeah. So there is a CyberHackCon. I know we're going to talk about that.
That's what
Phil and I are doing up in DFW. So HusekCon, yeah, we started it at the Microsoft offices in 2010 with literally 120 people. Like we never had any ideas about creating a national conference. We wanted it to be a regional event and just have fun with it. It started the same year as like DerbyCon, started the same year as the B-Sides, and all of that stuff started. After COVID, we saw, one thing that happened, it was DerbyCon ended up shutting down, unfortunately, because that was even speaking of my own conference, I think it was my favorite conference. I loved that conference. I really, really miss it. But when that one shut down and we started seeing a few regional ones start shutting down after COVID as well, we just started getting more people from outside of like the Houston and the Texas area. That was probably 80%, 90% of our attendance up until about 2 years ago. And then we started seeing the data kind of trending where we were getting more and more people from outside of outside of Houston and outside of Texas coming in. And we were like, well, okay, is this becoming a national thing? Because we literally heard from companies that were saying, I'm not going to send people to Black Hat or RSA. I'm sending my whole team to HUSEC-CON, and they would be from like, there's one from Tennessee, one from Georgia, one from like, I don't remember, I think Arizona or something. And we were like, okay, this is becoming a legit national thing. So do we want to embrace that? And the answer for the team was like, yes, we want to embrace that. Again, we don't want to lose the community aspect to it, and we'll always strive to maintain that. And I'm sitting here going, I'm not trying to reach 20, 30,000. If it happens, I probably wouldn't be mad about it. But at the same time, it's like, can we maintain that? So we got to figure that out. But it obviously was becoming a national thing. I've got friends that help with those two large national conferences that I talked about. I talked to some of those folks. They distinctly told me like they saw HUSEC-CON as the only what was then a regional conference that had the potential to become a national conference. Like there were no other ones that were striving for that. Ones that had that were, I'd say, independent regional conference. Like there's other conferences that grew, but they got snapped up by one of those organizations, and we're still independent. So yeah, we were like, okay, let's kind of embrace this thing. And from a marketing aspect, it was like, how do we make this fit with our current branding? What do we do there? If
That
we
was sort of the
go
outcast in terms of the name, I guess.
Yeah, so we did it without an E, not jokingly, like it fit our branding better because it didn't make everything get weird. We've changed it since then, but then I was like, well, it may confuse people, but at the same time, the domains are a hell of a lot easier to get without the E in there. That's
Yeah.
one of our other little stickers we had, is like without the E, because the domains are easier to register. So we were like, let's just embrace it. And it's going to be a challenge, but I think most people have like accepted it, and they're like, nobody's really throwing a fit. I've had one or two people that are like, oh, I'm going to miss HusekCon. I'm like, it's the same damn conference, man. It's just got a different name. Just show up. Don't worry about it. Just come out. It's got one more letter than it did before. It's okay. So most people are, and we have fun with it. So everybody's cool. So yeah, that was really the reason behind the rebrand.
Got it. Yeah. So Philip, I'm going to pivot back to you for a moment. You've built your own community. You've built your own following over the years. We spoke to that earlier. From the outside looking in, well, I guess you're in now, but what do you feel like the CyberSec community has that other communities in the market don't? Like how are they writing the blueprint now that other communities that are not in that vicinity, should be following? What's the differentiator there?
One of the things I think is a big differentiator is the inclusiveness, because you take some of these other groups, and one of the things I've kind of witnessed over the years, I used to compete in powerlifting, part of the fitness community. They weren't really accepting of all people and as inclusive. And that's one of the things I've noticed here lately, and not to get into politics, but just kind of judging from Facebook, seeing some people's views and the way they treat certain people, is that they're welcome to all. So anyone that feels awkward and severely introverted, this is your family. This is your tribe. You can come here, be accepted. And I see a lot of folks that are normally super shy and introverted go to these events and feel comfortable. And we need those kind of places.
Yeah, we made the comment a while back. Somebody said that right before COVID, they're like, we're really inclusive. I was like, we're either inclusive or we're just not exclusive. Like, as long as you're speaking cyber and you're interested in it, I really don't care. Yeah. And I don't think it's a political thing. It's like, please show up. I want to hear your side. I want to know what your history is. If you don't want to tell me any of that because you are introverted and you want to sit down and just learn stuff, that's cool too. It's like, just come out and let's have fun at the conference.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the way the community kind of encourages that, because there was a young man that Michael and I met at B-Sides DFW. There was a listener of my podcast. He heard the first episode. Some young woman from our community heard her story, been listening to the podcast, and got him comfortable enough to come out into the community and meet folks. I mean, normally he would have been too bashful to come up and meet me, and he came up and introduced himself and spoke with us. So that's kind
Yeah.
of a testament to the way the community is and how, you know, giving to the community and help and being involved in the community, how you can help others that would otherwise, not want to get out of the house and stay home, but they see a place that they feel welcome, they can learn and be part of it.
Yeah, that's key. It's learn and be part of it and be included. Like I've never seen you guys shut the door on anyone that wants to be involved from all levels, from all maturity levels of their career, get in, at HUSEC.CON you had what was the student group you had?
HOU.SEC.CON.
HUSEC.CON. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, you make it accessible for everyone at every level of their career path, which I think is great too.
Yeah, we're trying. That one is it was a lot of fun. It was our first time doing it and having 70 something young people there to learn about it, being able to give away a scholarship, all that, man. That
Yeah.
was a great time. That's when 6'7" was still in fashion, so I got to say that with them and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I was doing a bunch of Gen Z slang, and they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
cringing and laughing at me at the same time. It was pretty funny.
I'm like, "Well, that's so last September. You can't say that again."
No, right?
Can't
Somebody
say
said
that
it, and I
anymore.
was like, "That is way back, dude. What is your problem?"
So let's talk real quick about the CyberSec community ecosystem, right? You have CyberHackCon, which is coming up. You have CyberSecCon. You have OT.SEC.CON, which just
Last
happened
week.
a week ago. You have ExecSecCon. You have a
Mhm.
media arm, user group. So, you guys are firing on all cylinders right now. How do all of those entities serve different audiences while you still make it feel like one cohesive movement?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. So serving the individual audiences is pretty clear in the branding, right? We try to keep that fairly clear because we do realize we've got a lot of brands. So we're trying not to get people confused. At the same time, it's a difficult thing to keep clear sometimes. So OT, obviously, OT audience, exec, that one's in a weird state because we're finding out we can't cookie cutter a conference for executives. It just doesn't work. But
Mhm,
that's what we're all about too, is lessons learned. I'm an iterative guy. I like to go, let's experiment. Let's see what this is successful. This doesn't, then let's grow it and expand it, or we can shrink it and do something different. The big thing for me is what I've tried to do since we've got a media arm and we've got a nonprofit partnership, which is CyberSec Careers, and we've got the HOU.SEC.CON, which is part of that. All of those things is we try to be clear in our marketing, but we try to what we're, this conversations we're having, we're trying to put community first to let people know that that's kind of the entry point into all of it. So it is challenging just looking at it from a pure business perspective, making the cybersec community externally be the entry point for everybody and then figuring out where they go, or they can go to all these things, but what's the best fit for them, or do they want to do the general CyberSecCon, which is the larger flagship. And it's a weird challenge internally too, because we got business unit leaders that run events, or they run media, or they run careers, or they run marketing. And it's like, how do you get them to focus
mhm.
on the community as the entry point, and then it goes out into their different worlds? We've now got advisory and venture stuff that we do for startups. So like that's a whole other aspect of this thing. And we've got people that are doing that. So it really comes down to a people thing for us. Like we've got great folks on the team that just work their asses off all the time. We're a small team, literally got 5 full-time people working here, pulling all this stuff off, and a couple of people who do stuff on the side, contract-wise and things. And we just get as much support as we can to keep it all going. And it's just all about a mindset, to use almost a businessy term. Sorry, but it's almost like a mindset of you got to focus. Like community is the entry point for everything that we do. It filters down. You've got entry points, like you will always have natural entry points where you talk to somebody and like, hey, do you want to do a podcast, or you want to do an article or whatever? That's kind of their entry point. But once they get into the community, Like it's like Hotel California. You can never check out, right? It's like you're here, you're stuck, but in a good way. So I don't know. It's a struggle. We're still working on it. I mean, CyberSec community itself is still, I mean, it's less than 2-year-old entity, right? So HUSEC.CON was the only thing that we did all the way up until early 2025. We had a couple of the other little conferences that were kind of starting to spin off, but it was really the primary thing. So we're learning as we go, getting cool partners like Phil, bringing him in to help tell the story, and running podcasts with him and doing the hack side helps as well. So yeah, I don't know if that was a good answer or not.
No, that was a
Probably
good
too
answer.
long-winded, but
I think you're doing a great job with the branding. I love the ecosystem
appreciate it.
perspective, and I feel like you have lanes, right? You have different lanes. They're all fast lanes, because I feel like once you get in one lane, you're on the fast track, because the content that you're putting together is phenomenal. And depending on where you want to go in your career, you're in that lane. Let's switch over to CyberHackCon real quick, because this is going to be happening in May. Talk to me a little bit about this partnership. I know Philip sort of took the lead on this one. How did that come together? How did this partnership happen? Talk to me about that conversation.
I'm going to let the CyberHackCon chief hacking officer take that one.
Because for
That is
those
the
that don't
official
know,
title.
Philip's in the DFW area.
Yep.
Michael's in Houston. So this is still within Texas, but go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, so kind of the inspiration. So when I was running my DEF CON group in Denton, Texas, the fall of 2024, I stepped down. It kind of got difficult to run, a monthly meetup with all the travel and stuff I do. And so I stepped down from that. But the night I was leaving, I've had people over the years say, hey, you should start a conference. And that night when I was leaving the venue, I thought, maybe that's the next step. And then last year at HOU.SEC.CON, just being there at the conference, and I thought, man, I would like to start, a hacker conference, because we didn't have anything like that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've got lots of more of the corporate type events going on in Dallas that are really the most value. Some of those is the networking, not so much the education, what you get from it. You may get a lot of product knowledge, but hands-on learning and stuff. A lot of the events here focus on the CISO, just like a lot of companies with their marketing, they focus on the CISO persona and not the other personas. We were missing a good hacker conference here, because we have like one of the best cybersecurity communities and hacker communities in the nation or the world. We've got the largest ISSA chapter here in North Texas. We've got Dallas Hackers Association. We got DC 214, which is a Dallas DEF CON chapter, DC 940 that I started. We have a OWASP chapter. Dallas Hackers Association has 100 plus every month, and there's been close to over 150 people at times. So there's a big community here. We just didn't really have a conference to support that. And I wanted something for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Having a community like that, we need a conference like that. And knowing Michael over the years, we become friends from speaking at HusekCon. And whenever I had the idea about doing the conference, I just texted Michael, didn't think anything would come out of it, knew I could get some great advice. And so we had a call, and he mentioned partnering with his team to bring this to the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, I was like, Phil's going to do it anyway. Might as well try to partner up with him. I love the idea. If you ever talk to Mary and Lauren, you can get their take on it when I told them we were going to do this, because they're already really, really busy already, but they fully embraced it. Like they've been fantastic. Lauren's sister, actually, we all used to work together at a previous company. So she lives up there, and she's got the same event planning genes that Lauren and Mary have. So she's going to be helping us out with it. So it's a team effort. Like folks are getting together, trying to put it all together. And I mean, people have embraced it from coming and speaking and everything else. It's been really amazing to see people jumping on it and wanting to be a part of it. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And matter of fact, to add to that, I ran into Tim Medine at CyberCon last week, and he told me, he said, Dallas has needed something like this.
No, it's good to hear.
And I was on the website. The website actually says created by and for the hacker community. which I love. But define that for me. Like, take me inside the event, visually put me there. I will be there for real. But if you had to virtually put me there today as you have it planned, what am I walking into?
There's a lot to that.
Is it going to be similar to HusekCon, or is it going to have a different vibe? Like,
No,
what are the elements
it's I think when you walk in, you're going to have a more of a. It was something we tried to kind of create at HUSECCon a while back, where it's like an element of like characters. So thinking DEF CON characters and things like that, but actually doubling and tripling down on some of those character things. I don't want to give too much away. I will say that originally it was going to be on St. Patrick's Day, and we just, from a planning time, we had to move it. And that was also spring break for a lot of people in Dallas. So we went ahead and pushed it out. So I will say there's a leprechaun involved still. That's part of it. I mean, I don't want to steal too much of Phil's thunder, but honestly, we obviously know who Phil is and his hacking background. So that's part of it. The people we've got coming speaking, Jason Haddix, Wirefall, those are all like true hackers. Like, I worked with Jason at Fortify before he was as well known as he is. And I recognized back then, this dude is like a beast and super, super smart cat. So that, to me, that's what a lot of it is. Phil, I'll let you put your spin on that as well.
Yeah, so a lot of the inspiration's been taken from different hacker conferences over the years, like DerbyCon. I got to go to the last 2 DerbyCons, been going to HackSpaceCon since the inception, as well as been going to DEF CON and conferences in other countries too, and just kind of seeing that reoccurring theme with hacker conferences. And we call this a hacker conference. This is not just purely for the red team. This is a practitioner conference because we'll have people from all areas of cybersecurity, including blue team side, incident response, stuff like that. But we just having something that caters to the practitioner. It's not going to be, just a talk on how to use a certain kind of firewall. Someone would be talking about best practices or some exploit, just like one of the examples mentioning Jason Haddix. I mean, Jason Haddix has been around for a while, very well known for, his time as a bug bounty hunter and the content he's created there. Just kind of you don't get to see people like Jason Haddix at the typical conferences we see around here, or someone like a Tim Medine or Wirefall or Hutch and some of the other speakers.
Yeah, definitely. So there'll definitely be some hands-on labs. I guess it's safe to say that you'll be able to get in there and get your hands dirty and learn the tech.
Yep.
That's awesome.
There's a village. There's going to be a village there. We've already got some stuff. There may be something that Wirefall's doing that is, because I think we all know hacker cons, everybody tends to think deep tech, and that's what we're going to have, some of that stuff. But you also want to do stuff that's just like people are passionate about and can just be like really weird stuff, as long as they're aligned with cybersecurity. So Wirefall, we're trying to line up something. I don't want to give that away, but we're trying to line something up cool with him to do some stuff. So yeah, it's going to have some typical elements, like, there's going to be a happy hour at the end of it. That's fine. Nobody, that's just typical stuff. But I think the rest of it with the village and everything we're doing, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping we outgrow the Plano Event Center within like a couple of years and go somewhere else and do something really cool, but just keep that same vibe. So
happy hour is a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. You almost have to put a conference in because you have a happy hour.
Yeah. Not
happy
the other
hour comes first.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of a fun fact that Wirefall and I discussed, in kind of the place that this is, the event center that this is being hosted at. Back in the early 2000s, there was a conference called HACCon that ran for like 2 years, and it was kind of a hacker conference way back in the early 2000s, but only ran for like a year or two. And so this was the venue that conference was held in as well.
Interesting.
So kind of a throwback to that.
It's interesting. I never knew that. So the CFP is still open, I believe.
Yes.
It's open until the 24th. 24th is when it closes.
24th is when it closes. Okay. So what are you still looking for in terms of topics? If someone has a talk, what would be an ideal talk that you're looking for? And then also, how would they submit it?
So it just opened yesterday, so we're looking for everything.
Okay.
as the day of a time of recording, we're recording this on the 7th. It opened on the 6th. So we're looking for everything. We don't have any like gaps to fill because it's one big gap other than the invited speakers that we've had. Um, so yeah, I mean, Phil, I think we both see this as being a more of that deep tech talks. Really like, what are you getting into? Do you have a new tool? Have you created something? Where I don't know, things like I just broke this vibe coded app, I mean, I hate to throw AI in, but any stuff like that. What we're not looking for is a pitch.
Hmm.
Obviously, like we're going to have a few vendor talks that are sponsored talks, but they're not going to be able to pitch, and we don't allow them to do that in any of our events. So it needs to be all deep tech. I don't think there's an ideal in my mind anyway of what we're looking for. If there's something passionate like that's not even a deep tech talk, but is something that affects people from, I don't know, psychologically or, whatever. Like if you've got a mental health talk you want to give, but it, goes to somebody that's on a security operations team that is like constantly being bombarded by alerts and how they, have a work life balance, things like that. We're open to all of that stuff, I think, Phil. I don't know if you got
Yeah.
anything to add to that, but
Just typically as someone that hasn't been to a conference like this, the type of talks you'd see at a B-Sides conference, just
yeah,
technical type talks. And like I said, it's not all purely hacking or red team. It could be blue team. It could be, if you work in an incident response
Hmm.
team, some of the cool tricks or tools that you use there. So we're just, so anyone that's interested, definitely send in, share your talk because we're looking for some interesting talks. And sometimes your talk may be very valuable to someone else where you may not think it
Hmm.
is because as security professionals a lot of times we have imposter syndrome and underestimate ourselves, and we all have a lot of good information that we could share.
yeah. If you go
Definitely.
out to CyberHackCon, it's cyber without the E, like I said before, and it's hack without the C because we're really trying to confuse the hell out of people. So cyberhackcon.com, and there's a submit, button up there, call for papers button up there. Just a point that everybody needs to know, we have a platform called Exceed that if you're going to submit a talk or if you're going to register for a ticket or if you're going to submit like you want to be a sponsor, all of that's under one platform. So you just go hit that button and it'll ask you to create a profile. And it's just, username, password type stuff. And then you'll go right into the submit your talk. So, and by the way, when you put stuff in our system, just so everybody knows, we've talked about this a million times, we don't sell your stuff to anybody. The only way somebody can get your stuff is you have to go to their booth at one of our events and have them scan you. Or like if you register for one of our webinars, obviously that kind of stuff we would give to them, but we do not take our list and sell that or any of that stuff. And we never have and we never will. So
You guys have like a call for volunteers as well? Like if someone just wants to help?
yeah, so we've got you can go, on that same site and go to, do the info stuff. There should be a link on there and you can ask questions or whatever, and those are like call for staff members instead of volunteers. There's a weird legal thing you can't
Oh,
call them
okay.
all volunteers and stuff, but it just yes, so you can go out there and find that info on the same site for it, and if you can't find that, just send something to info at this is a weird one. CSC, like Charlie Sierra Charlie Group LLC.com. That's our main domain because it holds all of our stuff.
Mhm.
And you can search for it on there. But yeah, I don't it's not massive this year, so I don't know how many gaps we have from a volunteer slash staff member perspective,
Mhm.
but we can definitely get your help. So
Yeah, and if you're in the DFW area and you wanna get involved, either help or just show up. Like, what's the cost of entry?
what is it, Phil? 250?
250.
Yeah. 250, and we've got a VIP that's a little bit more. It gets you into a VIP room, and it's all on the site. You can see kind of what the differences are. The VIP room gets you in a or VIP gets you in a VIP room where you get to hang out. I think Phil is contracted to go in there at least twice that day and talk to people. Not really. I'm joking around. Mm, it's like going to the Cowboys Club and seeing Emmett Smith or something. That would be pretty cool. I'm sorry for the
Man,
Philly
speak for yourself.
guy on here. Eagles. I saw a picture of you the other day with some Eagles crap. I almost
Oh yeah.
threw up in my mouth. But
Well, I know what I'm walking into CyberHackCon
come
with
on
on.
down. It's going to be all cowboy themed everywhere. I got to come up to besides Philly and wear my cowboy stuff one of these days, but see if I get.
So we've both been to the bigger conferences, Black Hat, RSA, and then you have sort of these smaller regional conferences as well. What do you guys prefer? Like if you're going as an attendee, what conference type do you prefer? What do you get the most out of, or do you feel like they have benefits on both sides?
Phil goes to more than I do. I'll let him answer first on that one.
Okay.
They
You just
get
run 'em.
benefits. They got
I go
benefits
to
on
some, but not as many as Phil does.
yeah, they get benefits on both sides. One of the things I like about DEF CON and Black Hat RSA is the volume of people that are there that I know I get to see, or the networking opportunities. Some of the smaller events, it's easier to meet up with people, because one of the things that always happens to me at these big conferences, there's always people that I miss.
Mhm.
And a smaller conference, it's easier to get to see folks, and a little more relaxed environment and just a little less chaotic.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. For me, for the last 10 years, the big conferences tend to be like a bunch of business meetings for me, and I don't get to have fun. That's why I loved DerbyCon back in the day, because that was the one conference where I was like, y'all need to leave me alone. I'm going here to go to the conference. I want to go to the stuff. I want to see people.
Mhm.
And it's just the stage of my career where I have to go into those meetings. I even did that with RSA. That was just one big sales event for me, because I'm all the vendors now. I used to be their customer. Now they're my customer for the CyberSec community. So I talked about, but I mean, I enjoy doing it. It's just I walked like 20 miles that week. The smaller conferences that I get to go to, like when I went to Besides DFW with Phil, or there was another one I went to not too long ago. It was just that one I just get to relax
Yeah.
and just go have a good time and talk to folks. And like Phil and I were both in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago. I didn't see Phil.
That's
That
it.
it was just too massive. Like if you
Mhm.
don't make a concerted effort, you're just almost never going to run into each other. So yeah, I think I agree with Phil. They both have their positives. Just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I tend to enjoy the talks more at the smaller conferences.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the speakers put more into it, because I think a lot of them are getting started in the local conference scene, and so you hear different talks than you wouldn't hear at RSA or Black Hat.
Well, just the ones that'll get accepted at those smaller ones versus
Or
the big
don't get
ones too.
accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And there's not a 4-mile long line to get into the door either,
That's
which
why
is
you have to go early and get that badge before everybody gets in there. Yeah, the RSA was horrible this year. I got in quick and got mine out, but then the next day, like on
yeah.
Tuesday, it was like the TSA line, man. It was
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
bad.
Jeez. With no
I got there on
pre-check or
Tuesday.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, no clear. I mean, it was moving, but it was really long. I'd never seen that long of a line at RSA. It made me actually feel better about CyberSecCon, because we have last year at HusekCon, we had a pretty long line, and like that's a good problem to have in some ways, because it's popular and people want to get in there before the keynote and all of that good stuff. And it actually, I went around and talked to people in line, and they were having fun talking to each other and meeting new people and that kind of thing. At
Mhm.
the same time, it's like I want to get this through so people aren't aggravated. But to see it still happening at even a big old conference like RSA, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
logistics are hard. So
Well, in your line, it moved. I was actually moving in that line, so it wasn't that bad.
yeah,
And then once you got in, there was no line to get into talks. Like once you got in, you're walking into the room versus like I remember going to DEF CON where I'm in line for an hour and then I hit the door and they're at max capacity. I couldn't
they're
even
like,
get into the
stop,
talk.
get out. Yeah,
Yeah.
bouncers sitting there waiting for you. Yeah. The goon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been to DEF CON many a times, but yeah, here in the last few years, it's gotten really bad. So if you can get somewhere that's got some closed circuit TV, we used to host a suite everywhere, and we would just do that, and people could come watch talks in the closed circuit TV. That way it's easier. You could relax.
Do you post these talks at all after the conference or no?
Yep. We post
Okay.
all of them as long as the speaker, allows us to record, which is 95% of them, 95 plus. They all go on to, so you can find any of them on our CyberSec media site,
Okay.
cybersecmedia.com. they're all, hosted on YouTube generally, so you can find our channel there. But if you go to cybersecmedia.com, you'll find them all in the videos section. Yeah, we post all those. None of those we gate or any of that stuff. We put all those out for free afterwards.
Well, I can't wait. I will definitely be there. I got to book my flight, which just reminding myself of, because I don't know what's going to happen with flight tickets and prices. So I'm going to might jump on that tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, the fuel costs are going up right now, man. Those
I
tickets
know.
are getting reflected in that, unfortunately. So
Yeah, it would take me a good 4 days straight to drive there. So I'm going to try to fly. I think that's
it
the
could be a
best bet.
fun drive, though. I bet there's some pretty spots between you and us.
Yeah. Oh, I've mapped it out. Like I could definitely take a week and a half and just hit places along the way. That it is
I
a pretty
wouldn't mind
cool
that.
drive. But
Yeah.
I just heard last call here. You guys have time for one more?
Sure.
All right, Philip, I know you probably don't want to hear this question because I've asked you this 8 million times. But I'll ask Michael. We talked about happy hours and places to go. If you decided to open a cybersecurity themed bar, what would the name be and what would your signature drink be called?
Wow, that's interesting. Let me ask AI real quick. ChatGPT, this question's too hard. I don't know. Well, it would be a beer bar of some kind. Beer ISAC is already taken by the OT team, so it would have to be something around beer, specifically either a Dos Equis, Negro Modelo, Guinness,
I
or
think you just
Shiner
go
Bock.
CYBR.
CYBER. Include the two E's, but double it up.
Yeah.
So Cyber. I like that. Okay, I'm writing this idea down. This is recorded, right? Cyber. This is registered. I'm already getting this domain. I'm going to tell you that right
There you
now.
go.
Cyber.com. And yeah, I think Cyber, but it would be only generally lagers and dark. You get an IPA near me and I start getting nauseated.
Mm.
So I like to chew my beer generally. So anything that's a lager or darker beer, oatmeal box, that kind of stuff.
You don't like the liquid pine taste from an
No,
IPA?
I don't like drinking furniture polish. It's just not. Yeah. So flights of beers, I jump over that one and go straight to the dark beers. Anything like amber and above, it has to be.
Okay.
So yeah, no IPAs for me. So yeah,
I like the dark beer aspect because dark web, dark side. You can stick with that theme. Philip,
yeah.
you want to take a stab at it? You want to?
Sure. I'm just going to rehash, remember what I said on your podcast the first time. I thought the ideal concept for a bar would be APT bar.
Yeah.
And you can have drinks based on different APT groups. And of course, there's lots of Russian APT groups. So Moscow Mule could be one of the APT.
Well, I like that one.
One of the drinks. Yeah.
I like that. We used to name our sponsorships after the biggest hacks that just happened, but it just
Nice.
confused the hell out of all the sponsors. So we finally they were like, I don't know if this is a good one or a bad one. I'm like, read something, bro. But no, yeah. I like that, Phil. That's a good concept.
Yeah.
I got to
Don't
go to
copyright it
AWS
because I
and give
might
me
steal that idea.
I got to start registering some domains here.
Yeah, I'm gonna open BarCode up, I think, one day and just put all these ideas into motion. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me and taking time out of your busy day. We know where to find CyberSec community online, CyberHackCon. But where can our listeners find and connect with you both individually?
Phil, like throw a rock and you're going to
Oh,
hit
I know
something.
you're like super hard.
Yeah. Pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, YouTube.
It's all Phil Wylie. Yeah, I'm on X. I'm M1A1 vet. I don't do a whole lot there. I've had that since the early days of X. Mostly on LinkedIn. You can just find me at LinkedIn, M Farnum, Michael Farnum. Pretty easy to find me there as well.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys again. I much appreciated. And yeah, I will see you soon.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
You got it.